Good day. Welcome back to Let's Homestead Instead. I'm Steph, and on today's video, first of all, I want to apologize. It's been a while that I uploaded a video, but I have been very, extremely busy. Busy saving goats. We have had situations, not with our herd, but friends, the breeder calling me and saying, I've got a goat with scours and I don't have time to deal with this, but I think it's a quick fix. If you want to give it a shot, I will send her on over to you. And we did. And her name is Clementine. I'll show you a little video of Clementine. Say hi, Clementine. Say hi, baby girl. This is Clementine, and she has her own little area for now because she had a bit of the scours. And we basically took her in to see if we could make her better. And we treated her for coccidia. And she's actually doing better. Today we got 3 little hard poops, and Scott and I high-fived on that, right, Scott? It was like, sorry? We high-fived on
oh, yes.
The pebbles.
Hard poops is awesome.
So once she's all good and clear, she can go in with the rest, but she gets upset at us. She's very vocal. Very, very vocal. And she is tattooed. She comes from our same breeder. That's why she's got a bit of green there on her still. But she's happy and she's full of energy, so that's a good thing. Now she's looking at the cat. So she's quarantined. She's still like separated from the other ones. Not always super happy about that, but she still has the scours, but she has been seen by the vet, and she had a case of coccidia, and we think now that it's just her digestive system that's making her still have the scours. Anyway. So we're going to talk about that, and I want to actually today take the time, and I'm sorry about the quality of this video because I'm holding my phone in front of me. I no longer have a tripod, and yes, I'm still taking videos on my phone because this is the thing. Recently I've been researching a lot about goats. This is what I'd like to do with our videos, is that when you're researching something, a problem, you can come up with a quick video. Doesn't matter the quality, you just want the answer right. When you're searching these videos, when you have a problem with your animals, you basically want to try and solve it as quickly as possible. And I've always done this, just research videos or read and whatnot, and videos are preferred because you actually get to see people in action with the animals. And so in this video I want to tell you that we're going to take our channel up a notch. We're going to try anyways, by creating these videos when anything happens. Last year we talked about coccidiosis with chickens, which is a common thing that happens, and I would have been grateful to have these videos handy whenever I needed them to try and treat animals. Now this time there's coccidiosis in goats, which is funny because she's the only goat who had it in the whole herd of the breeder, which I still didn't take a chance on putting her with the other goats. Now, the story here today is about Braveheart, and Braveheart is a little baby goat. Speckles is a goat that I had here that went over to Howie and Bev's at our half-acre homestead, and Bev, as I said before, is getting out of goats. If you are a subscriber of hers, you've seen the video, the story about when she just decided she had enough. Now Speckles, when she gave birth, developed this really I'm going to say aggressive mastitis, one that I've never seen in my life before. And well, in my life before, I mean, I've dealt with mastitis. Lupin has it, and she had more of like a staph infection mastitis. And this kind of mastitis is it's quite severe because it's got like she has crystals in her teeth and her udder. It's like when I'm touching her teeth or her bag, it's like sandy and crystals in there. It's something else. So when we're trying to get the milk out, it blocks, and the stream is just like very, very thin. So the flow's not good. It's hard to milk her out, and she does bleed, and she's bruised on her teats now from all the milking, trying to relieve her from that pain. Now the sad thing is when she had her kid goats, she had twins, a boy and a girl, and the little girl didn't make it. But the little boy is Braveheart, and he is here with us today. And I want you to take a look at this story, because when I picked them up, what happened is Bev sold all her goats to a guy that had called me. I don't know this person, but he had called me about buying a herd of goats or some goats, and I referred him to Bev, and she talked on the phone with him for a little while. And then we found out that he was a bit of a newbie at this, but a very nice man. And so I wanted to help him out, help Bev out, and here stuff goes up to Bev's to help deliver the goats, or help get the goats loaded onto I just went over to our half-acre homestead and got all of Bev's goats for this guy who was looking for some goats, and for Bev, who was looking to get out of goats. So I'm going to show you. I have two in the car, and you guys already know Speckles. She's back there, but I'm just going to bring her back to health. She's got a mastitis after having her kid goats. She got an infection, and she's not feeding her babies. One of them died. She had twins, a boy and a girl. Here's a boy right here. And Speckles is back there. Go to Mike's place, and we're gonna go and drop off the other goats, and I'm actually gonna take Boots home with me because she hasn't had her baby yet, or babies, don't know. Okay, now I stomped off at Mike's. Boots is in the back here. She's a little traumatized, and she's about to give birth. I tell you folks, I haven't had such an excitable day in a while. Well, actually, it's been an excitable weekend with lots of stuff going on with farmers and unavailable vets. So our little baby here needs attention ASAP. So does Boots, so does Speckles. Speckles has the mastitis, so I have to go by priority. I'm gonna save this baby that's dehydrated. That's gonna be number one. I'm gonna quarantine Boots and Speckles in a pen, and hopefully Scott's gonna be home soon. Sometimes I wonder what I get myself into, but I'm doing it for my friend Bev. Okay, so following what I just said in the car, I got home, I got Boots and Speckles in a pen, and Scott and I just came back in from stripping Speckles' milk, and we probably got over 2 liters, right, Scott?
That's right.
2 big bowls full. She does have mastitis because there's lumps in her teeth, so I just treated her. I gave her some Pen-G, some penicillin. This guy was so limpy. I did not know what to do. So what I did is I made him a solution with baking soda, sugar, and water. Measurements, what I did is a bowl like this. You want to show it? 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and I just fed him with a 3 ml, 3 milliliter syringe here and there, and he seems to be a little stronger. Now he's in a 24-hour critical period. King here has been wanting to be by his side the whole time, and this guy seems to like that King is by his side. Now what I think that little buddy here has is, it's called floppy syndrome, and I'll show you what that looks like. I like the fact that he's bleeding right now. Okay, King, off. So he'll stand on his front feet, actually standing on both. He was not standing, and he's wagging his tail. It's telling me what I've been doing for the past hours is helping. He's still shaky, but he's actually, these legs were like flopped on the ground. I kid you not. Completely flopped. So, I've warmed him up. He was in a blanket. I'm going to have to put some iodine on this little umbilical cord too. And now there's Pedialyte that I mixed with the original solution. And as you can see, King is just right there. He just really cares about little buddy here. I call him little buddy because Bev was calling him buddy, so I don't know. I don't know. And we decided, Bev and I, that Speckles was better to come here with the baby because they were not in good shape. Now Boots it was already arranged she was coming here. She's pregnant, so she was to have her babies here at Let's Homestead instead, and then I would figure it out. Now, what happened with Speckles is that with this severe mastitis and with baby, I actually thought we were going to lose him on the first night because he was just like, his head was bobbing back, his eyes weren't opening, and he wasn't very responsive. He was no longer drinking, which is funny because Bev said that he would just suck him back. He would drink really well, and I had brought some goat's milk up to Bev for the baby goats, and but he did not get enough colostrum, and he only started getting some 24 hours later, is what Bev was telling me. So there was a couple situations here after I've evaluated what could have been, sorry about the light in the back there, about what am I looking at, you know, what is the problem here with these goats. So the navel was a little infected, and Bev wasn't, she only found them later, so she hadn't, dipped it in iodine. And it was quite a long little umbilical cord. So my first thought was he was a good drinker, a very, very good drinker. So my first thought was he was like, he had floppy goat syndrome because the back legs were very floppy. And I'll show you this. Okay, so here's our little guy. He's back to floppiness a little bit, but he's way more alert and he's trying to get up. Like he was standing a while ago, but I was the one who stood him up. Now he's trying to get up on his own. So this is what I mean. This is floppy goat syndrome. Yes, you're bleating. That is good. I want to hear you bleating and crying. He wasn't crying anymore. Fairly responsive, but those electrolytes really helped. Now, it's slippery on the floor, so that's why he's having a hard time, but he's trying, and that is a very good sign. Very shortly, and that the milk was just rotting in his poor little stomach because he didn't have enough colostrum to be able to digest. And then when I looked at his little his umbilical cord, and I talked to Bev and I asked, did you have time to dip it in iodine? She said no. Then I said, well, we might be looking at a case of what we call joint ill, which is a I think it's called AKA navel syndrome, or anyway, it's a infection that travels through the umbilical cord, and it actually affects the joints. And this little guy has very swollen knees. So when I saw him, when I finally got him to stand, which took a while because I had to hydrate him for 24 hours just with Pedialyte. And then at first, I did molasses and water with the salt and the baking soda solution, then a bit of Pedialyte, and then I got him back onto the milk from the goats, which I had to put a little molasses in there to kind of get them to drink and give them a bit of energy. I did the sugar on the gums as well because all goats, when they're born, they are hypoglycemic, so they need a little bit of sugar, not too much, to get them going and to raise their energy. So I did all that, and then I just sat there, and I observed. I sat there day and night. I woke up at night and syringe fed this little fella with a 12cc syringe all night long the first night. And then he was still alive the next day. Not very live, no lifeness in him really, just breathing and sleeping and not even bleating. Not bleeding, bleating, the sound that the goats make. And so, and then on day 2 that I had him, I started with the milk a bit, with the syringe, got him going on the milk again, and then it was time to take a decision. So it's either I tried saving him because he was throwing his head back and eyes were very glossy, and so I decided to give him a shot of selenium E, which is pretty much essential for goats. I overdid it. Maybe on the shot I gave him 1 cc, and he was just a 6.5 pounder, but it was a quick thing where actually somebody suggested 1 cc, which I did, which was probably a little too much. You want to go maybe 1/4 to 1/2 cc on these little guys. And then still no change in energy by the end of the day. That was on the 15th. And 15th or 16th. Anyways, everything's written down in the book. And then I decided to go ahead with antibiotics. And the only thing I had handy here was biomacin. And that, because I decided I was dealing with infection because he had a fever. He had a fever of 40.6. That's high enough. So then I went and I treated him with biomacin because our local vet was not in the area. She was away for a while. So I hit him with, you know what I mean, I injected, what did I do? 3/4 of a cc in the morning and then a whole cc at night, intramuscular. And then the next day, that's when my little miracle happened, where I started seeing a difference, because now I was dealing with an infection and I was treating it, and I was able to stand him up and really look at his knees. And his knees, I'll show you this picture. So as you can see, his knees are very swollen, and that's when I said, this is joint ill. That's what I'm dealing with here. Doesn't mean I wasn't dealing with any type of pneumonia or any type of cold. It's an infection. He did not have a strong enough immune system. Bev told me he probably got only about 6 cc's, sorry, not cc's, 6 ounces of colostrum, if that, mixed with the milk that I gave her, which is still good, but it was 24 hours later, and you really want your little baby goat to get the colostrum right when he's born in the first day. First 12 hours is really, really crucial with the colostrum. And if you don't have any handy, you should always have some in the freezer or whatnot. Anyway, that's why I'm gonna make sure that next time another goat kids, I'm gonna try and save some colostrum. Now, he's still alive, so that's a good thing. And I didn't want to talk about this little guy, which Bev, she was just calling him Buddy in the beginning, but I will show you his little nose, where he has a nice perfect little heart on the tip of his nose. Guys, meet Braveheart. See that heart there? Speckles' little baby. Now Speckles was our first goat, so this little guy means something to us. And if you look at his head, it's bobbly. It's a bobblehead. Now I'm going to explain what happened and what I did this week in order to save little Braveheart's life here. And it just reminded me of the Care Bears. And the Care Bears were like my favorite animated little bunums when I was growing up. So his name is Braveheart because he was so brave and so strong. And you know, when you're a homesteader, you're supposed to be tough enough and be able to make these decisions. Well, I was up literally, you know, rocking this little guy and trying to get him to drink and trying to save his life for a whole week now. Today's Saturday. He was born last Saturday. It's too late, guys. I'm attached. And Scott knew it from get-go. But the first time Scott saw him, he said, I think he's a goner. And then the next day, he came back from work, or no, 2 days later, sorry, after I gave him biomycin, he said, that's not the same goat. He was actually standing and his little tail was wagging. So that you know, told me that there was some improvement here. And so I called that guy that bought the goats, and I said, we have decisions to make. I'm about to call the vet because he still had a fever, and I knew it was joint ill I was dealing with, and normally you want to treat joint ill with Baytril. That's Baytril, Baytril. I didn't have Baytril, and I just wanted the doctor or the vet to provide some for me, and she said, I'm gonna have to examine him if you know, to make sure. So I called the guy and I said, are you ready to invest? Because I've already invested a whole week in it, in that little goat, and if you are not ready to invest, like I'm ready to save lives and stuff, but now I'm attached, and I mean, it's got to go either way. You take him, you continue all the treatments and the bottles at night and everything, and pay for the vet bills, or I keep him and I invest in him. And he said, no, it's okay, I can't, you go ahead. And so I called Frances, our local vet. She was back, and she came over today, and she looked at him, and she actually said, good job. He's alive. He's worse than I thought, and he does have joint ill. His knees were swollen and stuff, but because of I injected him with that antibiotic, it's like a long-lasting one. It's biomycin 200. Then it acts longer. She said, I just keep an eye on him. He's standing, he's peeing, he's pooping, he's wagging his little tail. He's not completely alert though, you'll see on the videos, but I'd like you to stay tuned and watch what happens with Braveheart and why I named him like that, with his little heart nose. And he's so brave. And yes, folks, I am completely attached to my little baby right now. And I hope that this will touch your heart too, because it certainly has ours, even though we are homesteaders and we eat, you know, animals that we raise. This little guy's I'm gonna put the ties on him, or I might even have Frances do it, just because it's a little sketchy for infection. His little immune system is not gonna be as strong, and he's gonna be a little buddy. So little buddy's still a name of his. It's just that Braveheart is what I wanted to name him, because he's such a brave little goat. And the other thing that I did do, because of all this medication, I have made some homemade yogurt or kefir milk for probiotics. It's really important that if you're going to medicate goats at such a young age, which is like he was 4 days old, 4 or 5 days old. It was on the 15th anyway. This little system is it's a touch and go situation, and so when I started giving him the milk back again, I put a tablespoon of the kefir yogurt in there. It's like between a milk and a yogurt. And he's been thriving. He's been doing really, really good. So if any of you out there know about this joint ill, I've actually reached out to Rose at Wholesome Roots on her live yesterday. That was Friday. And she's never really dealt with that, but she has sent me to a page that I will check out. But that's why I want to do these videos. I want people to see what happens, see it live, what happens when these goats get certain diseases and how to deal with it. So hopefully this is going to help someone else with this. It's a long video. Thank you for watching, and take care. Till next time. Baby goat is now doing much better, but it has been a very, very rough week.